Los Angeles Dodgers fans, there's a different kind of energy in the air right now. The offseason is never just about transactions on a screen or numbers attached to contracts. It is about direction. It is about identity. It is about looking at a roster and asking a simple but powerful question. Did this team take a real step toward another World Series run, or did it simply shuffle pieces around? And when you break down everything that has unfolded over the past few weeks, you can feel that certain organizations around the league were not content to sit still. They were aggressive. They were intentional. They moved early, and they moved with purpose. One of the most fascinating storylines this winter has been how teams approach the top of their rotation. In today's game, if you want to contend deep into October, you need that anchor. You need that pitcher who can take the ball every fifth day, silence a lineup, and change the tone of an entire series. That is why so much attention has been placed on the massive 7-year, $210 million commitment given to Dylan Cease. When you see that number, the first reaction from many people is to look at earned run average, to look at walk rates, to search for flaws. And yes, there have been stretches in his career where command wavered and control became part of the conversation. But when you watch him sit at 97, 98 miles per hour and pair it with that devastating slider, you are not just looking at a solid starter. You're looking at someone with legitimate ace potential. What makes this move even more intriguing is the belief factor behind it. Teams do not hand out contracts of that magnitude unless they truly believe the best version of that player is still ahead. The thinking is simple. If you can refine the changeup, if you can smooth out the mechanics just enough to limit those free passes, you are suddenly unlocking a version of Dylan Cease that is not just good, but dominant. We have seen him receive Cy Young votes before. We have seen him overwhelm hitters when everything is synced up. So the gamble is not about whether he has the talent. The gamble is about consistency. And if he finds it, that rotation centerpiece becomes one of the most impactful additions of the entire offseason across Major League Baseball. But pitching was not the only area that demanded attention. There was also the question of replacing production in the lineup, especially after losing a cornerstone presence. When a player like Bo Bichette is no longer in the picture, you're not just removing numbers from a stat sheet. You are removing moments. You are removing those clutch swings with runners in scoring position. The line drives into the gap when the pressure is highest. That is why the arrival of Kazuma Okamoto has sparked so much discussion. Translating success from overseas leagues into Major League Baseball is never automatic. The velocity is different. The travel is different. The daily grind is relentless. Yet what stands out about Okamoto is not just one strong season. It is the consistency. 6 consecutive years of 30 home runs is not a fluke. That is a pattern. At 29 years old, he is not a raw prospect trying to figure out who he is. He is a polished hitter entering his prime. Early flashes in spring training have already shown that he is not overwhelmed by the stage. The bat speed plays. The power translates. And perhaps most importantly, the approach in big moments feels calm and controlled. A bases loaded double down the line might be just a spring training highlight to some, but to others it signals that this is a player who does not shy away when the game tightens. Defensively, he may not project as a perennial Gold Glove winner, but if he can hold his own at third base while adding power and timely hitting, that becomes a very real asset. The broader question, though, is always about balance. Do the pitching gains outweigh any potential offensive regression? On the mound, the depth appears stronger. When you stack Dylan Cease alongside established veterans and then add reinforcements like Max Scherzer, suddenly you're talking about layers of security. Even if one arm needs time to settle in, there are other capable options ready to step forward. A bullpen strengthened by the presence of a sidearm specialist like Tyler Rogers adds a different look late in games, something that could be invaluable when facing lineups multiple times in a series. Variety matters. Deception matters. And in tight contests, one unique arm angle can shift everything. Offensively, there may be a slight step back in raw firepower compared to last season's top 5 production, but context matters. A lineup does not need to lead the league in every category if the pitching staff can consistently hold opponents to 3 runs or fewer. A top 10 offense paired with a significantly improved pitching staff can be a dangerous formula. Add in strong infield defense, anchored by steady gloves up the middle and a reliable presence at first base, and you begin to see a roster that is built not just to score, but to prevent. In the end, off-season grades are always projections. They are educated guesses based on talent, fit, and health. Missing out on a marquee superstar bat might keep some from handing out an A+, but landing a frontline starter, reinforcing the bullpen, and adding a proven power hitter from abroad is hardly a quiet winter. The margin between good and great often comes down to internal growth. If key players maintain their production and the new additions perform even close to expectations, this is a club positioned to compete at a high level once again. And as spring training unfolds, every inning, every at-bat, every pitch becomes another clue in the unfolding story of what this new version of the roster is truly capable of becoming. Now, when you really zoom out and evaluate the full picture, the conversation shifts from individual signings to overall structure. A roster is not built in isolated moves. It is constructed like architecture. Every addition either reinforces the foundation or exposes a weakness. And that is why the debate about whether this team truly improved has to be separated into two categories: pitching and offense. Blending them together too quickly hides the details. And in baseball, the details are everything. On the pitching side, the transformation feels undeniable. When you add Dylan Cease to a rotation that already features established veterans, you're not just inserting another arm. You're elevating the ceiling of the entire group. Suddenly, there is less pressure on everyone else to be perfect. A true number one presence changes matchups in a series. It changes how opposing managers set their lineups. It changes the confidence level in the clubhouse. And when you stack that with the return of Max Scherzer, even at this stage of his career, you are talking about experience layered on top of power. Scherzer is not just innings. He is intensity. He is preparation. He is the kind of competitor who raises the standard in every bullpen session. Then you consider the depth. In previous seasons, there were moments where teams had to patch together starts, hoping the back end would survive. That uncertainty can drain a season. But now, on paper, the rotation options run deep. Whether it is Kevin Gausman, Jose Berrios, or the other arms competing for spots, there is legitimate competition. There is no obvious weak link that you are simply crossing your fingers over every fifth day. That matters over 162 games. Injuries happen, slumps happen, but depth cushions the blow. The bullpen might be the quiet strength of this roster. Tyler Rogers brings something different, and in today's game, different is valuable. Hitters spend all year adjusting to high velocity and over-the-top deliveries. Then you throw a sidearm specialist at them in the 7th or 8th inning, and timing becomes a challenge. Add in arms with minor league options who have impressed early, and you begin to see flexibility. A bullpen is rarely about one superstar closer. It is about waves. It is about having the right arm for the right pocket of hitters. And right now, this group looks equipped to mix and match effectively. Offensively, the conversation becomes more nuanced. Replacing Bo Bichette is not about finding a clone. It is about redistributing production. Kazuma Okamoto may not replicate every aspect of Bichette's game, but he brings his own identity. There's power potential that could even exceed what was lost. There is maturity at the plate that suggests he will not be rattled by big moments. The question is not whether he can contribute. The question is how quickly he adjusts to elite pitching day after day. If the transition is smooth, the lineup gains a new dimension. Around him, there are players whose consistency will define the ceiling of this offense. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. remains the heartbeat. When he is locked in, he is one of the most dangerous hitters in the sport. If he flirts with most valuable player form again, it elevates everyone hitting around him. Dalton Varsho, streaky as he can be, has shown that when he catches fire, he can carry stretches of games almost single-handedly. The key will be sustaining those hot stretches longer and minimizing the valleys. Defensively, there is reason for optimism. A strong middle infield combination can erase mistakes and shorten innings. Clean defense supports pitching. It keeps pitch counts manageable. It prevents those frustrating extra outs that often turn into crooked numbers on the scoreboard. When you combine improved run prevention with steady offense, you create a formula that wins tight games. And tight games are the currency of postseason teams. The lingering what if, of course, revolves around the superstar bat that never arrived. Had a name like Kyle Tucker been added to this lineup, the narrative would be overwhelming praise. That kind of addition pushes expectations into championship or bust territory. Without it, the assessment becomes more balanced. Strong, competitive, improved, but not necessarily overwhelming. That is why a grade hovering around a B+ feels appropriate. It acknowledges meaningful upgrades without ignoring the opportunity that slipped away. There's also the Anthony Santander situation hanging in the background. Losing a key contributor for several months reshapes early season projections. Health is the variable that no front office can fully control. And yet, championship teams are often defined by how they absorb those setbacks. Does someone unexpected step forward? Does the roster depth prove stronger than anticipated? Those questions will begin to be answered as the regular season unfolds. At this point, though, the construction phase is largely complete. Major additions feel unlikely. The front office has made its statement. This is the group. That reality shifts the tone of the conversation. It is no longer about hypothetical trades or dream acquisitions. It is about buy-in. It is about embracing the players in the clubhouse and giving them the runway to prove the vision correct. Criticism has its place, but so does perspective. Writing off signings before meaningful games are played accomplishes nothing. Spring training offers glimpses, but not final answers. Velocity readings, swing adjustments, defensive chemistry, all of it provides hints. Yet the true test begins when the standings start to matter. If Dylan Cease anchors the rotation the way the organization believes he can, if Okamoto translates his overseas dominance into consistent production, if the bullpen locks down late leads, then this offseason will be remembered as the turning point that sharpened a contender. And if there are stumbles along the way, accountability will follow. That is part of the journey. But right now, the framework is in place. The pitching appears stronger. The defense looks stable. The offense, while slightly reshaped, still carries enough firepower to compete with anyone on a given night. The only thing left is to let the season breathe, to let the games unfold, and to see whether the calculated risks of this winter transform into October rewards. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on news, so drop a comment below. Whispers around the league suggest the Los Angeles Dodgers are entertaining one of the most unconventional ideas of the season, a move that has left scouts and executives quietly intrigued. According to people familiar with internal conversations, the front office has at least discussed a surprise name when mapping out future rotation possibilities: Juan Soto of the New York Mets. On the surface, the notion borders on the unbelievable. Soto is universally recognized as one of the game's elite offensive forces, a player whose value is traditionally measured in plate discipline and power rather than pitch counts. Yet insiders insist the Dodgers are not strangers to unconventional thinking. The organization has long been fascinated by athletic versatility, biomechanical efficiency, and the idea that elite arm talent can sometimes be hiding in plain sight. Those close to the situation emphasize that this is not a formal plan, but rather a speculative exercise driven by curiosity and long-term creativity. Soto's arm strength, throwing mechanics from the outfield, and baseball IQ have reportedly drawn quiet admiration in analytical circles. Some within the Dodgers ecosystem believe that, under the right development environment, a radical transition, even if only experimental, could unlock an unexpected dimension. Skeptics around the league are quick to dismiss the chatter as off-season noise, arguing that converting a franchise cornerstone into a pitcher would be an unnecessary risk. Still, the mere existence of the discussion speaks volumes about how aggressively the Dodgers challenge conventional roster-building logic. For them, Innovation often begins as an idea others are unwilling to entertain. Whether this rumor fades as quickly as it surfaced or evolves into something more tangible remains to be seen. For now, it stands as another example of how imagination, more than certainty, continues to shape conversations in modern baseball front offices. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.